Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 13th episode of the Daily Attorney Podcast, where we talk to women all over the United States who are just simply amazing at what they do inside and outside of the legal profession. I'm excited about our guest today. She is the owner of Legal Solutionz, Miss Latavia Alexander. Her law firm is dedicated to helping individuals and businesses build and protect their legacy. She is also the creator and host of It's All Good, a bi-weekly podcast which focuses on enjoying the processes of life, adulting, and maneuvering the minutiae of today's society, which we all know is a lot. She also enjoys being creative and innovative, which led her to another entrepreneurial endeavor called Waste and Tingz. Miss Alexander doesn't just want to sell a service or two, but instead she looks to provide an experience and create community. Her mission is to provide a holistic approach to legal services. Latavia, welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for the invite. I am happy to be here. It's a nice way to mix up a Wednesday, the hump day.
It really is. It really is. You go in Monday, you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then next thing you know, it's Friday. You're like,
right. Like, where did the week go?
Exactly. So I always use the intro as kind of a way for people to kind of get to know a little bit about you. But of course, it also helps me, kind of have a springboard of things that, I would like to talk to you about. The first one is, how did you come up, with the name LA Legal Solutionz? I think it's a really creative way, of doing things, especially, removing the S and putting a Z. So how did you come up with that?
Sure. So I will give you the short version. So it's a combination of the, desire to have my name be a part of my firm. So the legal name is my full name, but my full name is very long. And so when trying to think of something in terms of just kind of short, creative, it was, I want to provide solutions, and, I'm a law firm. So the Legal Solutionz part there, the LA stands for my first and last name, not Los Angeles, as some people have been confused by. But yeah, so it's just a matter of like this is my way of saying, hey, I provide solutions, legal solutions. And so the Z is a part of just a way to be creative. For zeal, we as attorneys, we're tasked with zealously advocating for our clients, but also it's kind of an homage to my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, because zeal is also a component of that. And so it's just a way to kind of incorporate different aspects of me into the name.
I absolutely love that. And speaking of long names, I think I've got you beat. Just saying. I think I've got you beat.
Yes, I think we're neck and neck. Mine is long in syllables.
That is true. That is definitely true. Well, I love it. But I can see, where people, can think, oh, she's in LA. But I mean, if that's an area where you decide to practice law one day, that actually won't be that bad of a transition, as long as someone else,
right.
I think you're good. So can you talk to us a little bit about, how do you help businesses and people, protect their legacy? Because that's one of the things that we do, among other things. But like, what is your, bag of tricks, Willie, that you have at your, because we all have little things that we do unlike other firms, right? So what is your thing, that allows you to help businesses and individuals like you do?
Okay. Well, yeah. So I like to say I've had a bit of a hodgepodge, but a variety of experience over the last 10 years as an attorney. And so I've worked in a variety of industries, so higher education, private practice, the nonprofit sector, just different, some aspects in terms of trying to help in family, kind of learning things. And so I say I bring that. I bring these years of experience in different areas. I bring that to my clients. And so, yes, you come to me because you want to create a business. Okay, we're going to talk about just kind of the 1, 2, 3s and ABCs of what it means. What is a business entity? How do we start it? What's required? But I always take it a step further and have a larger conversation of, okay, you want to start this business, but what is going to make you different? What's going to stand out? And try to walk them through creating a strong business foundation in terms of, yes, you want to create, i.e. an LLC, because we're going to talk about the benefits, the protections of that component, but also as you're building this business, like I told someone the other day, you're building it to grow. You're not building it to stay small or to close down in a couple of days or months. So you're going to have some intellectual property that as a part of that. So I like to have the conversation early of, okay, what if anything you're doing might include copyright, trademarks, possibly even patents, although that is not something that I do, but just helping them to understand that there's more to it than just, oh, I created an LLC and oh, I'm on my way. You know, you need a bank account. What banks are more ideal for the type of business that you're doing? What do you need from your bank? Do you have an accountant? What are the questions that you should be asking your accountant, thinking about how you're doing things today and what the effect that is going to have the following year when it's time to pay taxes? So things of that nature. It's just like I try to bring my whole self to them and they get the benefit of all of my life experience as well as work experience.
That is huge. I think that's huge because that's like almost having a toolbox, right? That has a little bit of everything in it, but you're not necessarily kind of, dipping and dabbling into areas that you don't understand, but you're saying, hey, listen, I've been here, I know this. And when you go to this person who provides this service, this is what you need to be telling them. Because I think one of the things that people do, they go to, so they go to Google and they'll say, oh, I just worked with my attorney and she helped me open my business. How do I hire an accountant? What questions do I ask them? So that's quite amazing that, you've become that conduit to help educate them. So that way, when they take the next step, they're not walking in blind. That's what it sounds like to me.
That is the goal, because I've been the one Googling, where is this? And even just, growing up watching my parents or family members go through different things and trying to figure it out and navigate, sometimes unfortunately getting burned. And so and I'm sure, as attorneys, we still get a bad rap and we're about the money and we're trying to screw you over and this, that, and the third, which I didn't like hearing that. That's not who I am as a person, and it's not who I want to be in business. So it's as much as I provide a service, I also like being a conduit and connecting people, because that's, like I said, just a part of my personality of making connections. So if it's, hey, this person helped me with this situation, let me make this connection for you because I think they'll be beneficial for you. Or even because most of my clients are business owners, if I have another client, hey, maybe let's connect you to, this would be, so it's like that's where the community aspect comes in. Yes, I will do a service for you, but I'm also here to help grow with you. So when you get started, the needs that you have when you're starting your business are different a year or two in, when you're ready to hire employees or you want to, occupy a space. So I also assist in terms of, if you're looking to lease some space, let's look at that commercial lease, because I do have experience in the landlord tenant space. So it's just a matter of like pulling all of those things in to make sure that you have that strong foundation, but as you're growing, we're making sure you're protected now and tomorrow
and later. Yeah. And you know what, I do that with my estate plans too. So we're actually crafting one right now for one of my colleagues in my office, and I'm doing it pro bono. She's one of the paralegals for another firm that's here. And one of the things that we were planning is, she doesn't have children now, but we're not sure if, in the future, this is something that she might change her mind about. Right now, she may say, no, this is not something I want, but maybe, 5-10 years later, she might think otherwise. So we were just having a conversation to say, okay, let's add some language that will actually allow you to prevent an intestate succession scenario with your future spouse and your children, especially if you want your child to get 100% of your estate. So things like that, you have to be ready, even though it doesn't look like this now, but you have to be ready for the possibility of that change in the future. And it also, in my opinion, what you and I are doing is we're saving our clients from having to go through the entire process all over again, right? To have to reconstruct something, which is another reason why I offer, and I don't know any attorneys that do this, but every client that comes through our doors, if they have an estate plan, a trust plan, whatever plan that they have, I give a 3-year, update on it. I just do. And it's not built into my price. It is nothing extra, that the person charges for. Ultimately, I know that your life is going to change in 3 to 5 years. Things are going to happen. So what we do is we tell the client, listen, if something happens, just call us. We'll make the change. You'll come back in. We'll do the whole entire process, for you for that document. And you don't have to. And I've had so many people take advantage of that. And some people are like, oh, let me give you a little bit. I'm like, I don't need it. This is our guarantee to you. It's okay. So it sounds like that's what you're ultimately doing. You're making sure that in the event something changes, you don't have to come back into my office. We've already planned for it. And that is, just being proactive, really, which I think is very important. But you also made the statement about, attorneys and money. That is one of the reasons why I thought it was imperative that I started something like this, and we named it, the Daily Attorney. Well, my producer named the Daily Attorney. I was like, oh, let's go with that. So we felt that it was the essence of this is we need to show people that we are human and we're not doing because we get a bad rap. We need to show that we're not doing this because of a dollar. We're not doing this for status. We're doing this because we truly want people to excel and we want to be a part of that. And frankly, the money will come, right? But it's a byproduct of doing what you love and what you truly feel passionate about. So I love that you said that. As far as staying small, please talk to me about that, because so here's my question. How many people do you have that comes to you and says, oh, Latavia, I just want to start a small business. I want it to be just me. And then they get in and they're like, oh, whoa, this just took flight. And they pick up the phone and they're like, yeah, we're going to need to fix this because I need to hire 3 or 4 people ASAP. Like, what do you do in situations like that?
Well, if it's interesting you say that, because I have had some of those conversations. And it's more often than not, it's been someone who maybe I didn't work with before. And so maybe they started with someone else. But either way, I just say, okay, it really, for me, it starts with the conversation. Okay, what are you doing and where are you? And so let's see what you already have in place and how can we essentially work from that? How can we make adjustments from there before just saying, hey, we kind of got to blow it up and start all over again? Because no one likes doing that. And so I try to avoid that at all costs. But unfortunately, sometimes that is necessary. So what I do is just, and one of the things that I have been incorporated now when I'm meeting with clients, kind of that initial conversation and they're looking to start, it's, we spend more time talking about what they want to do and how, like, what is your day-to-day going to look like? Do you have the capacity to do this on your own? Do you anticipate growing? So, okay, let's put some of these things, kind of like you were saying with the estate planning, this is where we are today, but let's go ahead and anticipate some of the things that you might need. So we might not necessarily do it now, but let's make a note or kind of, we're going to put a pin on this. For example, I just recently kind of something else you mentioned about the fees. I've started just doing flat fees. As much as possible, because I find it's a little easier for me. And it's also, I feel it's easier for the client because then they're not wondering, okay, well, I want to call, but how much is this call going to cost me? Or how much is this email? So for most, if not all of my services, I do flat fees. And so one of the things that's included in that is just the consultations. And so for one of my packages, I call it a foundation package. So for someone who's just starting their business, we're going to get the business started, but we're going to also have some strategy sessions that are follow-up that I include in that, as well as an independent contractor agreement template. Because right now it's just you. You don't have anyone else, but depending on how quickly business grows, you might need someone, but maybe you're not in a position to hire a full-time employee because that brings with it a new set of responsibilities and challenges. So walking through that. So, hey, you have this here. you understand how it works. So when you are ready for it, you already have it. And it's not a matter of, oh, I got to go back and pay the attorney more money.
Right.
Because I've heard that often, y'all are expensive.
Yeah.
I
I don't
understand.
know. Yeah, but I don't know why people think, I remember when I first started practicing and I was having a conversation with one of my mentors, who's now deceased. I don't remember what the conversation was about, but I was talking about fees. And he was like, when you go into a grocery store, do you walk out with the groceries and tell them, I got you, I'll pay you back? No. But for some reason, attorneys tend to have that experience. And I don't think doctors have the same experience. I don't think so. I don't know why, and I mean, it does suck because I think, as a population, we want to help everyone, right? That's why we get into this. But realistically, having to say no, I think was one of my biggest issues, because if you don't say no, you will be somewhere running yourself ragged. How do
Oh.
you maintain? So that brings me to my that's crazy. I only got through one question. I had 5. I had 6 actually. Apparently I don't know how to count. How do you kind of, break down your day in a way that allows you to not only serve your client, but serve yourself, right? Take care of you.
Yeah, so if I could just address in terms of the bending over back, not saying no. I've been there, done that, got a postcard.
Yes.
I've spent a good portion of my career doing a lot of stuff pro bono because I wanted to help out. They couldn't afford it. Oh, I believe in you. We're going to do this. And at this point, it's to your question, I have to look out for me. So one of the things that I have started doing is I've started scheduling, in terms of, I don't open my calendar for booking until 9 or 10 o'clock each day.
Yeah, we made that change.
Yeah. And I remember I was telling my sister, she said, huh? How? I was like, but what I have found is that gives me enough time to get up, go through my morning routine. If I want to go for a walk, have my quiet time, but then also just actually reviewing my emails and kind of going through things of like, okay, what needs to get done today? What are we working on? What's in the pipeline? Responding to emails. And so that gives me that lead time to make sure that I have, if I have meetings come up, that gives me ample lead time to review anything that I need to before the meeting comes. So that way, when I do start meeting with clients, I'm good and together so that I can be my best self for the clients. And then just making sure that when being my own boss has been a bit more of a challenge, but
yes.
Having a set cutoff time of, okay, so typically Saturdays, I do work sometimes in the morning more if I kind of, that's when I do a lot of my research and reviewing, but usually after like 1 o'clock on a Saturday, this is my time. And we're not working. We're not doing anything work related.
Yes.
So Saturdays and Sundays, I leave to just be myself. And usually Sundays, that's when I do it's called my crafting. And so I play with my beads and things on Saturdays and Sundays. And that's just kind of a way to use that other portion of my brain to make sure that I'm good so that I can be my best self for clients.
Yeah, and it's important, especially because you have a holistic approach. And holistic approach is not just in a mental or emotional, it's physical, spiritual, whatever it means, to the person. So that's a big deal. So what made you decide to create, It's All Good, like a podcast? Yeah, it took me some time. I was like, oh, I don't want people to see me. I just want to be a little elf in the background. That does not work for business. It doesn't work.
Not at all.
People need to know who you are, not know everything about me. I mean, most people know, I have a kid and, I run my own practice and stuff like that. But people need to understand like where you're coming from, what you look like, and your message, and some aspects of your personality. So what made you kind of like say, okay, I'm gonna put myself out there and I'm gonna create this podcast?
Yeah, I would say similar to you. It took me a while. It took me a couple of years from that when I first had the idea and the thought to actually doing it. But really, it was, I noticed in a lot of different positions I've held, I was one of the only. I was the only one that looked like me, or I was younger, and just different situations. It's like, hey, I have something to say. I have an opinion on this. I have thoughts on this. And so it was kind of a combination of that and just me wanting to share my experience and kind of chronicling my experience of different things but throughout adulthood. And also there'd be different times with friends where we'd be getting to these really, really good conversations. And it's like, oh, people need to hear this, or we need to do that. And so it was kind of a combination of those things of like, hey, let me do this. And so initially I started it audio only. And I remember you were saying you wanted to be in the background, telling my friend who was helping me, like, hey, we can just put this out there. We don't need my picture. They don't need to see me. She said, no, they need to see who you are. And so that was a whole other process of just, because I've always been wanting, hey, I'm in the background. I'll help do what needs to be done. I just want to get the work done. I don't want it to be about me. And so I would say that was actually a really good catalyst for me, preparing me in terms of starting my business, because it did require me to put myself out there, getting used to hearing my voice recorded.
I know. I don't go back. I don't watch any of them. I might watch like a snippet and I'm like, click. Cause I'm like, oh, you should have said that. And I'm like, no, you're not going to be critical to yourself. You put yourself out there. You did more than 99% of the population, is doing to pursue their goals and dreams. And you're putting something out there that will pursue, that will help that 99% kind of step out and say, you know what, I should do this too. And and that's exactly what has happened. I did it because I went on a podcast. We received an invitation, and it was like, man, of course the universe would, because that year I said, I'm going to do everything that comes up that scares the living, bejesus out of me. But nothing had kind of, come up. It was just like normal stuff. And then, of course, like before the year ended, I got that email. I was like, oh, I almost made it. And I did it. And I actually really, when I said it on the air, he was like, okay, no problem. I'll hold you to it. And I was like, yeah, now I got to do it. And it felt good to, talk to someone and, because essentially they're a marketing company and they only work with attorneys. So they were talking to me to kind of get to know me. And, I put this idea out. He was like, well, that's a really good idea. And I couldn't find any other podcast that does what we do, that does what we do. Like, we're just saying, hey, this person is a human being, and look at the ways they help their client, but look at the ways that they take care of themselves, to show up. And it's like, what was that show on MC, Behind the Music?
Oh,
it's like the behind the music for attorneys, so it's working well. So I understand what you're doing. Adulting is hard.
Yes, I don't like it most days. Where do I do not remember signing up for this subscription?
Return it.
Where, how can I return it? And so it's like I said, that is a lot. It's like a little bit of everything, but a lot of it is, like I said, chronicling my journey through adulthood. And I used to tell coworkers, I just play an adult on TV. I just play one during the week. I'm not really an adult, but at this point I have accepted, yes, I am an adult and I do adult things. And for the most part, I think I'm doing a pretty decent job of it.
Yes.
So
we are grown, Latavia. We've been grown for a while.
Yes, I have a few bills and things that would, when I used to say I'm not an adult, it's like, there's a few things that would say otherwise.
I know. So sometimes when I get that mortgage statement, I'm like, if I don't say this.
Right. It's like, I do. And that's the thing. It's like, I enjoy the benefits and the freedoms that come with adulthood. So I certainly would not want to trade that for going back to being a child. Yeah. But it's like, if I could get a little
Yeah.
adult
Yeah.
help care package relief.
Yes.
I don't know if you are familiar on Instagram with a lady, The Council. She does
No.
all these different, it's like she does these different videos where she's talking about just a different perspective, like logic, the heart,
Okay.
anxiety. And then recently she started doing some where it's kind of like, oh, what if adulting had a help center or a customer
Oh my
service line?
gosh.
And so it's like the person coming in, I'm just like, this is so spot on.
It does. It's called therapy.
Yes, and that I am a big proponent of it.
Same.
It's very beneficial. So like I said, with the podcast, it's just a lot of times it's just me sharing stories, talking about different topics, and then also I have guests on from time to time to share their experiences. I like highlighting business owners of just,
Yes.
hey, like yourself, what are you doing? How do you set yourself apart? What's your why? Like, what are you doing to not be mediocre? Because I feel like at some point mediocrity became the standard.
That bell
So it's just
curve
like,
is pretty. The middle is pretty packed, and I love that you say that because I try to get my son to understand that. He's only 14, and I know that at that age, it's like I know everything. No, you don't, right? But I try to get him to understand you have to do better. You can't just put in 100%. 100% is not enough anymore. It's 120, And if you can't do that, then maybe you need to kind of do something else, And I think a lot of times as attorneys, we are also faced with that too. You get into an area of law that you don't particularly, you can't wrap your mind around. The concepts are not hitting properly, or you just don't like it. And so instead of saying, you know what, let me try something else, you just keep going because it's comforting, it's familiar, it brings in money,
yeah.
whatever. But are you putting in 120% of you? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing what you need? And the answer is most usually no. And when you're doing that, that means you can't give your best to your clients. And our clients are paying us their hard-earned money, right? They need to get some sense that you care. And if they don't, then they're gonna replace you, And some people may
With the
not.
quickness.
So it's definitely big. So that brings me to my next question. What part of being an attorney do you enjoy more? I know that's like such a textbook question, but I definitely had to ask that. My sister just texted me. She said 100% just isn't good enough.
Yeah, no,
She's watching. She's watching.
Yeah, no. And I don't know that it's ever been 100's never been enough for us or for people who look like us, but definitely I agree 100 is not enough anymore, especially when there's people in other countries who learn our language and two others just off the bat. But yeah, I guess the best part of being, I don't know, it's, of course, I guess the cliche of being able to help people, but it's a little deeper than that. It's being able, I guess, kind of seeing or hearing that sigh of relief, or when it clicks for a client of, oh, wow, okay, I didn't know that. And it's kind of, I guess, watching and hearing that range of emotion and that appreciation from clients. And sometimes, the crazy thing is sometimes I've gotten it just from a consultation and I haven't done anything. And I guess it's that the realization that the time and effort that I have put in, it was not in vain, because I didn't do this to get rich, although some people think that's why we go to law school, because you get all this money and you're just out here for money. But it's no, I would do most of what I do if I didn't get paid, because, and I've done it because I genuinely enjoy and appreciate the appreciation that clients get when something is done and they're able to accomplish their goal.
Yeah, Eric Thomas says, I listen to a lot of Eric Thomas. He said, you've gotten to a good place where someone doesn't have to pay you a dime to do what you do. That's big, right? Because you're not after it for a check. You're after it for, another cheesy line, for the love of the game, right? So I agree with you on that. As far as, Waste and Tingz, like, what was that about? Like, what brought on, that endeavor? Like, what made you think, oh, okay, well, let me do something else that's completely not law, right?
It started as a hobby. I learned about waist beads a few years ago, and so I started wearing them and learning about them, and I love them. And then it was, I've always kind of been a bit of a DIYer, and so it started as a hobby and kind of an outlet. And then during the good old pandemic, or that first year of it, I should say, I started buying a lot. I got real into the hobby of just buying more things and learning different techniques. And so it was, okay, and it really was a way, like, what can I do that is opposite, that separates me from, okay, yes, I'm an attorney, but it's not my life. And so this is something kind of just to show the creative side of me. So, making waist beads, making bracelets, it's like, okay, let me offer these to other people. And so I started selling them through Etsy, largely through, friends, family, word of mouth. And so it's something that I am looking to grow that in this next year or two as well.
Okay. I love that. For me, it was soap. I started, soap, body butters, body wash, things like that, which I still do. I started in 2015. I was selling them for a while, but I was giving away more than I was selling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I understand.
At a point of, my friend was like, Nay, it's a business, right? I'm like, but it was always, but
right.
But I still do it, and I still send all the stuff out. It's funny, every year for Christmas, I make just a huge spread, package them all up. They never go out on time. I still have 2 that's in my car. I realized as I'm talking to you, I need to send them out. And one I just sent like at the beginning of March. It's so bad. So that's why I'm asking you about it, because I don't know how you have time, to craft the beads and do all that and do what we do.
It's and that's why I say, it's still more hobby-ish. I would say I'm on you. I kept telling my mom was like, so it's a business, right? You need to sell them. Are you going to sell? Okay, let me build up my inventory. Yeah. So I have been building my inventory. And like you said, it is a matter of the time of, building a law practice, staying, making sure that I'm staying current with my knowledge and education so that I can serve clients, doing the podcast and the jewelry piece.
Yeah.
And there are times right now the law firm definitely is getting most of my attention.
Yeah. Yes. And so, the law is a cruel mistress.
It is. I remember it's like you can't put it to the side, and I've tried.
No, she demands all your attention.
She does. So yes, it's, like I said, it's a labor of love in different aspects. But like I said, even if I don't, like I said, I similarly with the Christmas gifts for a few years. Yes, those are gifts. I'm giving people bracelets and waist beads. Merry Christmas. Here's something. And so that is one of more, like you said, it's just something I enjoy doing it. Being able to see what comes together and then once again, the appreciation that people have. So
yes, I get that. What impact do you hope to have on your community, family, friends, clients in what you do?
That's a big one. Really is, the impact is she wasn't afraid to have the conversation, and she was going to make sure you had what you needed to have or ask the questions to get you to where you wanted to go. That's what I want my legacy to be.
I love that. Yeah. And that's what our legacy, as counselors, excuse me. That's what it should be. People come to us to go from A to Z. So, and it sounds like you are doing it and you're very successful doing it. So I truly appreciate it. You all heard it. She loves helping clients stand out. She has a holistic approach. I'm going to call it the toolbox.
I'll take that. I like
it. Massive toolbox. She's a podcast. a second business and is very, very creative, but ultimately, what I'm getting from this is you care about your clients and, helping them go from A to Z is very important to you. And you don't just look at it as, okay, I can just do A to D, but here's 14,000 other people that can help you, the rest of the way. So I'm sure your clients and your community, appreciates you for that. If clients were to, get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Easiest way, the website, LA Legal Solutionz with a Z.com. I'm also on social media, Instagram and Facebook. It's LA Legal Solutionz.
Okay.
Those would probably be the quickest or most efficient. I mean, if you want to call, I do still, I still love talking on the phone. I know that's not as big. Number is 301-965-0367. I'm based in Maryland, but I'm licensed in Maryland, DC, and North Carolina. So I do serve those 3 states. I always like to add the disclaimer. If it is for estate planning or legacy planning, as I call it, that is state specific.
Yes.
So I can't help you if you're in Virginia. I will gladly refer you to someone, or if it's something outside of the scope, my scope, I gladly refer people. So I will be referring people to you as well.
Same to you. I always, everyone I interview, I always add them, to our list because we do some research, before, we interview folks, and we are always pleasantly surprised because people's bios are really cool. And you read them like earlier when I was telling you, oh, this is what I'm going to say. You're like, whoa, she sounds accomplished. People, you just, it's so funny. You don't really know all the things you've done unless someone puts it together. And you're like, wow, like I've done all that. So
Exactly.
that is definitely huge. And I definitely look forward to, seeing you and meeting you in the future. I'm in Towson. Where are you located? You're Southern.
Yes. So I'm in Largo.
Largo. Okay. I have a client in Largo. I do not practice in PG County anymore.
Okay.
That is too far of a drive.
I understand because I hear the same about Baltimore. I've done both. I mean, I've lived in Baltimore. I've lived in PG County and currently live in Charles County. So,
oh my gosh,
I have. I understand. I've
I'm
lived
not
in all
doing
3.
that. PG County, I have a love-hate relationship with that traffic, man. If you leave at 6 o'clock, you're good. 6:05, it's like a Saturday morning. You're like, what is going on? It's different. Bless your heart.
It is. It's very, and look, at one point I was living in Baltimore, commuting to PG County for work, and then vice versa, living in PG County and having to go to Baltimore for court or for different things. So I have embraced that commuting is because my first position when I was doing landlord tenant law, I was in court 4 to 5 days a week in 4 different counties. So I spent all week driving. So
wow. No, we've limited. I did that when I first started, and I said, this is not the life I want to live.
Right.
I would apologize to my car every time. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but we have to make this money because we got bills to pay. Okay.
Exactly.
But it was at a point I was like, I can't do this anymore because driving PG, Montgomery County, Calvert County. I have an estate now in St. Mary's County. The estates we take because those don't usually involve litigation, so we don't have to go anywhere. But if it involves litigation, I send it because we do a lot of estate litigation. I send it to someone else. Yeah, so that's.
Oh yeah, I understand. It adds up. There was a time where I was on a first name basis with the mechanic because need the oil change, need the alignment because I was.
That is insane. No, I do not want that. We've pared it down to. I don't even go to Baltimore City anymore. I'm like, nope, too far.
It is, especially from Towson. No, I get it, and that's where I'm in the process now. I am, I do have some clients that I have assisted from the Baltimore area, because for some things, like if it's a trademark application, then with that, it's federal, so I can do that anywhere. And now, especially with people being more comfortable with, Zoom calls or the telephone, I'm able to do that without having to travel much. But with the estate work, I am right now, I'm working towards limiting it to PG County, Charles County, like that area, because even though we can do a lot of it virtually, there's still at some point I would like to, I need to meet with the client face to face. And so that adds to
as
it.
well, especially too for clients who are just a little bit more mentally fragile. You want to make sure that you're meeting with them in person, so that way you can assess their cognitive abilities, so they're not executing an estate plan they have no business executing.
Right. And I have, unfortunately, I have seen that where you have a child or sibling who is encouraging and coaching,
pulling those strings. Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's like, actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop this right now. I'm not gonna be able to move forward unless you step out.
Yeah, I don't even get to that. I'm like, sorry, I can't do this. I will reject it, because I've been on the side of, oh my gosh, this person did this, Marie, can you help me? And it's just a nightmare to undo. So I don't take those cases anymore. I send them to another attorney down the hall. Protecting my sanity is just important. And those cases are hard too. Yes. And they're hard because you look and you see people getting taken advantage of, and it breaks your heart, because you're just like, oh, I wish I could just undo this like this. But realistically, you can't. You can't. There goes
that simple.
The Towson sirens.
Hey.
Well, Latavia, I'm not gonna keep you too long, because I can go, as my friend says. She's like, you can go, sugar, because I'm a talker.
And I'm right there with you. So
I am. We'll talk a little bit more backstage. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm so sorry for keeping you guys long, but I'm happy I kept you over, because I had a wonderful conversation, and it's always nice getting to know a fellow member of the bar who is crushing it. Ms. Latavia, thank you for joining us today. I'm Marie Yves, Nadine Jean Baptiste, owner of the St. Yves Law Firm. Please like, share, and subscribe. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I always have to look up here because I don't remember. I am not even
right.
Check.
All the things. Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Bye.